Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Gavin, and today I want to talk about how to feed your picky ball python. So in my opinion, ball pythons are a wonderful species of snake, especially for beginner reptile enthusiasts. However, there is one major downfall, and that is the fact that they are sometimes extremely picky eaters. For example, Franklin, when I first got him, the breeder I bought him from was feeding him live mice, and then I transitioned him to frozen thawed, and transitioning him out of live into frozen thawed was probably a 6 to 8 week process where he wasn't eating at all for 6 to 8 weeks. And as a beginner snake owner, it was terrifying, super stressful. But that's why I decided to make this video, to kind of give you the do's and don'ts, the techniques that I have learned that have helped me in feeding my once picky ball python. But now he's a super consistent eater. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I'm going to walk you guys through all the necessary tools that you need to feed your snake. Obviously the first being a mouse or rat. So Franklin's about 1.5 years and he's eating small to medium-sized rats. If you guys are unsure what size mouse or rat your snake should be eating, stick around to the end of the video and I'll explain it. Up next is a Tupperware big enough for your mouse or rat to soak in. You're also going to want to use these long feeding tongs to feed your snake. I find them useful because it creates distance between you, the snake, and the snake's food. So now we need to thaw the mouse or rat. So you can use any faucet in your house. What I like to do is turn the faucet as hot as it can go, so hot that it's too hot to touch, and put your mouse or rat in the Tupperware and fill the Tupperware up with hot water. The rodent tends to float up to the top of the water, so I like to use those tongs as kind of a weight to keep that rodent down. Just as reference, this is about 118 degrees Fahrenheit, so you want it pretty dang hot. You can also just boil the water if that's easier. Now you want to wait 10 to 15 minutes for the rat to thaw. So by now, the rodent's probably pretty much thawed, if not all the way thawed. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn the faucet up all the way again and re-soak the rat. So before we give it to the snake, we're going to want the rodent pretty hot. That way you can detect it and have the best chance of actually eating it. So after that, I go ahead and take scissors and just cut up the top of that seal tight bag, and I make sure that I have a paper towel. So I think it's best to thaw the rodent in some form of plastic bag. It doesn't harm the snake. It doesn't, the plastics don't melt onto the rat at all. It just helps the rat to be as dry as possible when you give it to the snake. I've soaked my rats in just straight water, and they're super wet. And when you feed it to the snake, all the substrate or bedding can just stick to the rat. And you don't want your snake to ingest all that bedding and substrate because it can cause impaction, or in other words, it can just clog up their bowels. It can be harmful for the snake. So now we're gonna grab the rat with the tongs and dab it on the paper towel just to make sure again that it's completely dry. And here comes the scary part for most new snake owners, is actually feeding the snake. What I found best is just dangle it right in front of the snake, kind of imitating that it's almost alive. And you can see Franklin, it only takes him about 5 to 6 seconds before he strikes. I don't know if you guys can tell, but Franklin kind of bit the rat in an awkward position. It's kind of to the side of the rat. You want the snake to bite head on. So you don't have to freak out or anything. That's okay. Sometimes this happens. Sometimes they just take an awkward bite. So what I do is I give Franklin a few minutes, see if he latches on again. If he doesn't, I'll take the mouse again, and then I fed it to him and he ate it right away. So as I'm bringing the camera around, you can't really see, but Franklin, he really latched on to the head or to the face of the rat, which is what you want. So it's easier for them to kind of gobble it down, if you will. So now I want to go over what size rodent you should be feeding your pet snake. So to make it super simple, basically the thickness of the thickest part of your snake should be the thickness of the rodent. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But if not, hope this helps.